coming through. You guys have been very professional.
Right.
And just to confirm, you guys have come here because a person matching my description has come through.
Ran through this direction.
Yeah, you've told me that. I hope you find the guy.
Thank you very much.
Walking, stepping over a log. Yo, hello. Today we'll be talking about some incidents that happen around here. This is my campground. You can see the tent behind me. This is for Sunlight.Quest, talking about the homelessness issue. I would say in Australia, but really the Gold Coast, Queensland, corruption, shit like that. I've got my phone here with some notes here. Everything I talk about is backed up by facts. Oh, hold on. Text message from my... Doesn't matter who the text message is from. Privacy, bro. And so hopefully this video gives you some idea of how the homeless are treated on the Gold Coast. At the moment, the Premier of the Gold Coast, Queensland, is Stephen Miles. The Mayor is Tom Tate. This will be primarily around the Queensland Police and the PSLO team. This is not at all like an attack on the Queensland Police. I've done that in the past where I was like, fuck the police. That's not what this is. I'm going to show you how the police are leveraged.
We'll be back next week with the police, okay?
With the police? Why the police? Why the police?
Just to make sure this bike's not stolen.
Against the homeless, how those games get played. The PSLO team, if you don't know, that stands for the PSO, Public Space Liaison Officers. They're people that have been set up by the Council of the Gold Coast to look around, and the reason put forward is that they can like find homeless people and say, hey, you're homeless, you're in a bit of a difficult situation, let us help you. I'm going to show you how this actually works in a practical sense with my story. This highlights an issue that's very rarely spoken about because we have a housing crisis in Australia, we have a cost of living crisis in Australia. Housing crisis is going to lead to a homelessness crisis. Okay, so let's start with this. PSLO visit, 12th of July 2024, right? So the PSLO visit here in the morning, they come through. Now I had one of the Japanese boy here, Takuya Okazari. I'm going to put his face up here. I'm going to play you a little bit of a video just to make you understand. But before I do, there is an email thread which I'm going to include on the landing page. I'll include a link here with the PSLO team. And the reason I want you to, this is important, and I'm going to put the date, I think it's been over 6 months, 8 months. I'll put the exact date here of how long I've been interfacing with them. So they know I'm homeless, And when the PSLO team visits, they say, oh, Costa, how you doing? And then the guy acts like he doesn't know whether I'm homeless or not. So let me play you this. Hey guys, how are you? I'm just...
Costa.
Oh, you guys know me.
Champion.
How you doing? What are you guys up to?
Good. Just checking in. What's your situation, buddy?
Well, you guys know my situation. I've emailed you about this.
Oh, okay, yep. So you're still homeless?
Well, where do you think I'm currently in? Where have you come to see me?
Mate, I'm just asking the questions.
Well, it's a pretty obvious answer, wouldn't it be? Pretty obvious
you
answer.
might be here on a camping trip.
So this guy, by the way, I was really scared of filming him. A couple of things. Number one, they act like they don't know that I'm homeless, right? So like, oh, you might be camping. It's the first game, right? They say, oh, we don't know if you're homeless. The other thing is if you're not there, they leave stickers acting like they don't know if your tent's been abandoned. Check out the video with the sticker attack. I'll leave the link here to this PSLO team guys that come through stuff. They give you this piece of paper, right? They say, oh, look at all these services, just call these services. I did another video with Adam Watson. You can check it out here. I'll have a link where they purposefully leave phone numbers broken, and these are charities that get hundreds of millions of dollars from the government. That's why it's relevant. They got hundreds of millions of dollars sitting in coffers, but the phone numbers don't work. This Japanese guy, Takuya Okazari, he was homeless. I said to him, look, get a $14 tent from Kmart, right? And just set up a tent because you're in a bad situation. So he set up his tent, and this guy is, I don't want to say this in a bad way, he did something very silly. He left his laptop in the bag, and the council came through, left a sticker there, and then they took his belongings. They took his laptop. That's what they do. And you'll notice when I've emailed them about this. So that's like thievery. That's theft. They've come and they've stolen a laptop. And you know they know that this happened because when I mentioned this to the PSLO officer, and by the way, this guy's real nasty, this guy right here. When I tell him about the laptop that's been stolen, he doesn't even care. He doesn't even say, oh, your laptop got taken, watch this video. He's all right too. He's okay. You guys took his laptop. You guys know that, right? Yes, he is homeless.
Well, we'll try and help him. Okay. See you guys.
Thank you. See you.
All right, guys.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, and by the way, what happened to his laptop? You guys took his laptop. Hello? You guys, are you guys gonna answer that question?
I will be back.
Right? So he's like, oh, I don't care. So they came in, they took this innocent Japanese guy's laptop, which, by the way, he got scammed by a landlord as well. So one thing I talk about Sunlight.Quest is scamming of landlords. But you'll notice as the guy is walking away, what does he say? He says, I'll come back next week with the police. Listen to this. Are you guys going to answer that question?
I will be back next week with the police, okay?
With the police? Why the police? Why the police?
Just to make sure this bike's not stolen.
And then I'm like, why would you come back next week with the police? And he says, oh, to make sure the bike's not stolen. By the way, the bike belongs to the Japanese kid. He's got a receipt for it. The PSLO team's been emailed about it. On the 24th of July, I come back and they took my tent. Hey, so check this out. I've just come back at night time. Thankfully, I've bought a new sleeping bag, but the PSLO team has come and taken the tent, right? They've taken this tent and they've taken my friend's tent as well, which was here. It's just a fucking quagmire out here, you know? And all I'm saying is there's got to be some kind of a thing where you say, okay, cool, like, listen, rather than coming here and accusing the bike of being stolen or pretending you don't know that I'm homeless, what the PSLO team should be doing is saying, hey, listen, buddy, you know, maybe if you call here, there might be something here and there, but that's not what they do. And this is the point that I'm trying to make about the PSLO team. Now, here's where it gets really creepy, right? And all I do is I go, okay, fuck you guys. I just go to Kmart, get a new tent and put it up, right? So I put up the new tent that night and I'm like, what are these guys going to do now? Watch this. Now, I've also got a video which you can watch on the landing page or whatever below where I show you all the timestamps of this. The very next day after I put up my tent again, somebody, we don't know who, makes a report to the police that a person matching my description wearing all black has ran through the forest. So I'm lying in my tent and the first thing I hear is police outside my door. Now I didn't record this first part, so I'll tell you what happened. I'm lying in my tent, suddenly I hear, armed police, get out. I open the tent flap, they handcuff me, they put me on my knees. I go, what's the issue of? Now these guys that put me on my knees, they were good police officers, so this is not like fuck them or whatever. They were told that a guy in a black jumper is running through the forest. Now my friend Adam Watson told me, he said, listen, if you stay here, they're going to set you up. This is the game that they play. This is not like anything personal to me. You got to understand, I don't have a criminal record. I've never been charged for anything, right? Like police have come through and said like this and that, and then when I say where's the evidence, they drop the case. But you can't find me a single person in town anywhere that I've hurt, right? So this is what they do, right? If you're in the middle of the forest, they'll say, "Oh, I appreciate that, and thank you for coming through. You guys have been very professional."
Right.
And just to confirm, you guys have come here because a person matching my description has come through.
Ran through this direction.
Yeah, you've told me that, wearing all black. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, there's a mole somewhere in the police organization that's doing this, right? That's working with this PSLO guy who are saying like, get the detectives out there, tell them that this guy's running through and they'll run around. I hope you find the guy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks,
I want
mate.
you to be safe as well.
Thank you, sir. But somebody had set them here. I've had other times when the police would come here and say, oh, we've heard of a suicide here. So somebody's calling them and getting them to come and agitate me, right? This is just what they do. I'm breaking down. And by the way, you don't think it's weird? The PSLO guy says, oh, I'll come back here next week with the police. They take my tent in the middle of the night, and the very next day, they send the cops out to say, armed police, right? It's a form of agitation. Now, here's something else that's really interesting, right? On the 31st of July, I'm walking around, and I come across this guy. This guy's actually a really good guy, but he's a homeless dude. He's like, I've talked to him before, and I start chatting with him, and he tells me that 2 police officers and a PSLO agent actually came to his tent with a photo of me saying they're looking for where I am to do a welfare check. So I'm gonna play a little bit of that interview. Can you just tell me, 2 police officers and a PSL officer came to your tent 3 days ago, and they were asking about me. Is that correct?
Yeah, they want to know of your whereabouts and if you're alright. They said, have you seen this man, and said your name?
So they mentioned.
Yeah, and then they
my
just
name.
Your first name, yeah, and I didn't know you by name.
Yeah.
And then they showed me a picture, and I recognised you and pointed towards your tent.
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with me. Whatever you feel about me, this is what they do to the homeless. And by the way, keep in mind, my tent's not in the middle of the street or it's in the middle of nowhere, right? It's in the middle of the forest, and this is what they do. They start hunting the homeless with the police. I'm just breaking down the undercover system, right? You can't tell me that's a coincidence. They take my tent, I put up a new tent, they send the police, right? It's all backed up with dates, because you would think in the middle of like one of the worst cost of living crises in Australia, they would do something. Like, for me to offer a dude, like, just get a tent, put it up, is more than anything the government's doing. That's like $150, right? But the government, and Stephen Miles is aware of what Tom Tate is doing, right? I don't know what the next attack is going to be. You know what I mean? By the way, I want to thank Adam Watson for being able to advise me and stuff like that. He's a very intelligent guy. He works with very influential people, like he's a consultant, and to be able to have access to his brain is very useful. If you want to check out, he's got a website, adamwatson.au. He fixes credit checks. He understands everything, right? But in the financial system, he understands things, and he does things properly and correctly. That's why I got all my dates backed up, right? Anyway, Sunlight.Quest, that's my report for today. It is what it is. Peace out.